Hi there, everybody. It's Lizzie, and we are here with another episode of Let's Talk Agile. Now, one of the things I'm hoping today is that I have switched around a couple of things with computers and sound, so I'm hoping everything is being able to be heard, that you guys are hearing and that we're not having a problem. So it is one of those things where you've got to hope. You're hoping it's working. My levels say it is. So hopefully that is true, that is what is going on. So welcome to another episode. Today's going to be a little bit different because today we are not bringing on a guest. We do have a guest scheduled for next week, but in talking to my podcast manager, so we're turning these into podcasts, one of the things she said was, Lizzie, it would be good if you would shake it up a little bit and kind of have some shows where you don't bring anybody on and it's just you and Victor, and you guys are having a conversation about Agile, so you can go a little bit deeper in some of the things associated to that. So tonight we are taking that advice and we're going to go a little bit deeper on some things that are associated to really taking to par, like going real deep on what is Agile and kind of answering that question. So I'm about to bring Victor in. There you go, Victor. You're in darkness, dude. I mean, what's going on? And I can't hear you.
How about now?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
I'm in darkness. Well, I figured I'd switch it up for y'all. I can brighten up myself, but I figured I'd leave the back.
Okay. All right.
Kind of ominous.
Ominous. Okay. All right. So how are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself? Got a lot of good news today from folks around me, so very happy today.
Nice. That's good. It's been a good day. It's been a busy day, but
Absolutely.
I can say it's been one of those days where it's kind of my day when I sit back and I do a review and I'm thinking about, especially now, it's the beginning of the month, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's April. So it's kind of like, all right, what are the goals that I'm going to be setting moving forward?
Absolutely.
To really make some stuff happen. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple of things that I've got in the pipe, and I've got 2 advanced classes coming up, April 13th and 14th, and I think 17th and 18th.
Advanced CSM classes?
Advanced CSM and advanced product owner class. And you know how I feel about the product owner class. And that's my jam.
Okay.
Right. So there's some stuff I want to rework in it that I got, like these ideas that have been spinning in my head. So this week coming up is going to be dedicated to me just doing that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to be pulling away some other things, canceling some coaching appointments I have, etc., because I just want to kind of deep dive that, and I don't want any other noise about anything else. So I can, because once I've got it exactly the way I'm seeing in my head, I'll be good, it'll be golden. And then I don't have to look at that again for like, a while. It'd be like incrementing little things. But
Right.
I'm big on getting ready to do it in a very modularized fashion.
Right.
Because I recently did the IC Agile coaching course with some friends of mine, right, out of the UK. And I loved the way they had everything so modularized, which is very different because I normally like to tell a story. So I'm telling the story throughout the workshop of, here's the story of how the Scrum Master moves or how the product owner moves. But I like how they modularized it. So I'm thinking now I'm going to break my stories into chapters. and have every chapter have a theme.
Okay.
So I'm kind of excited about that, which is why I want to just like go to play and go and start developing it. And I found myself getting frustrated when I'm being pulled in different ways because that's now something that's like pulling me, and I have to get it done, and I want to get it done.
Right.
So two things in that space. So as I was saying earlier, right, the lady who is managing the podcasts for me and doing all kind of the podcasting stuff said to me that it would be nice to not have a guest on every show.
Okay.
And to mix it up.
Mm-hmm.
So then we are actually like deep diving some stuff. So then we actually kind of will have some conversation where we're really talking about what Agile is and really kind of digging into it type of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, okay. That's cool. We can do that.
Right.
So I thought then that being the case, today let's dig into what Agile is.
Okay.
Let's myth bust.
Myth bust.
Let's myth bust today. So one of the things, obviously, when people come on and they tell the story, we narrate it, right? So we narrate it in the idea of, okay, here is what Agile is. Here it is. You're seeing it now in motion. This is what they've done. And interestingly enough, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm going to like go back and get trending data on it. I think by the time we've gone through 10 guests, we're going to see a theme of what they all talk about and see that one Agile principle and value that kind of rises above the top in people who don't know this stuff, but just naturally do it. So it's a theory I have. We'll see if the theory is correct. By the time we have 10 guests, we'll go back through and watch them and see if it is the same value that we're hearing resonate. Do you know what I mean? Like it just keeps coming back up every single guest, regardless of their genre, because they're all in different spaces.
Right.
But what keeps coming back up again? And then we can maybe make a claim and say, well, it goes to prove that most entrepreneurs pull on this particular value, even though they don't know they do.
Right.
I believe call it an entrepreneurial value.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's, we've heard that where we came in on technical excellence, not the idea of this perfection, but the idea I want to make it as good as I can possibly make it now.
Right.
Which a lot of people get stuck with that. So you hear about a lot of people don't start their business or get something started because they're waiting for the perfect. They wait, and then they use this excuse and it's an excuse they use to themselves. It's not something they project out. Well, it's got to be excellent.
Yeah, when I was doing my business coaching classes, that was like one of the first principles that I taught, right? The hardest part is getting started. If you get started, it will come to you. You will figure out how to get better at doing whatever you're doing. But so many people procrastinate, put it off, say they're not ready, collecting one more piece of equipment or trying to get, one other client to, agree to their services in advance. And, it tomorrow just never comes. And so you just have to kind of jump out there on faith, introduce your proof of concept to the world and let the world tell you, which direction you need to pivot.
Right. And that's one of the things I had to do with myself, even with the show, with the shows that I had. And one of the ones I did just what you said with was the link. Because the concept of the link I had from April of last year. And I only launched it 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And it literally was this concept of I had in my head, it's 8 women and I got to find these 8 women and the 8 women have got to gel and they got to gel with each other and they got to gel with me. And I was going after this big thing. And then I was talking with Adriana, who's the neuroscience expert, right? Okay. She's a neuroscience researcher on the link. And she said, Lizzie, why not just go with the 3 that we have and let it just emerge? And I was like,
right.
She shouldn't have said that to me. I should have been saying that. But because I became so close to it and so passionate about it, this is one of the things that can happen. Even the best of us who know these principles and values, it doesn't mean we always allow them to affect what we do.
Right.
We don't. right? And because that thing was just so close, and oh, I wanted it to be so this, I wanted it to be so that. No, 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 I gotta wait, I gotta wait, I gotta wait, I gotta wait. And then, when we went ahead and did it, it was great.
Right.
The vibe was great, the energy is great, and it's taking on a world of its own, right?
Right.
Which is lovely, and all the women gel.
Right. That's beautiful.
So, but it just goes to show that sometimes, like you said, even though you will teach this stuff and you will say that this is something that you believe in, when something comes close, that you've got to take this now and it be just like your auto, it's not all the auto. So I'm good on the inspecting and adapting all day long, every day. Good
Right.
consistently at taking time out to reflect on how to get better all day, every day. Right? But the idea of fail fast, fail often, I still got a problem with that one. That concept. Because certain things are so close to me where I have an emotional tie to it. And once I have the
Right.
emotional tie, I'm seeing failure. I'm not
Right.
seeing feedback.
And you know what? That's probably why I've talked to some other people who worked with Jeff Sutherland kind of early in the development of Scrum, and so we're going to pivot just a little bit from Agile, right? Because they're not the same thing. But Jeff Sutherland was kind of, I guess, adamant about the early people that he trained about them to not get too involved in the tools that the business is using to track the like Jira or Azure DevOps, whatever they're using to track the user stories and progress and input updates. And I would assume or presume he was probably adamant or to some degree about not getting too involved with the actual product that the companies are working on, because we're masters of the process, right? And so if you get too involved in the product that we're helping the team facilitate the creation of, we can get emotionally attached to it and also have some of those reservations that you're having when you're trying to figure out how to release your next product, your next show.
Yeah, absolutely. And just got like caught up. When I tell you caught up in, nah, it's not ready. Nah, it's
Yeah.
not ready. Nah, it's not ready. It's not ready. Right. And I have done that
Yeah.
with many, many things.
Mm-hmm.
And then allowed people around me, because sometimes you bring people onto your teams to do different things, right? And they're not from your world.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally they tend to come with a very project mindset, right? A waterfall mindset.
Right.
That it's easy to then just slide in with them on those things because you put their expertise and their process together.
Mm-hmm.
And the two are not synonymous.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The experts should be allowed to be the experts, but it doesn't mean we have to use that process.
Right. Right.
Because that process is not really a process that allows you to, as we would say, increment, fail, get the feedback.
Right.
So it feeds into all those things of it's not good enough, or I'm not good enough for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I think I like when it comes to Scrum. That Scrum is not looking for perfection.
Right.
Scrum is looking for get it done and get the feedback. And prove if it makes sense or if it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because you don't know until it's out there. But I think there's so much emotion of, and especially for entrepreneurs or creatives, right? That's tied to when you put something out there. It's not just putting something out there, it's putting yourself out there, because you and the thing tend to be like this, instead of the thing being a product of you and not you.
Right. Right.
Being able to make that kind of delineation. If it goes great, great. But you're still the same whether it goes great or if it doesn't go great. Your greatness is not in question as the individual. It's the thing, right? But we tie those things up together.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really do. We totally do. I mean, you've got some great things done that you've gone ahead and you've just launched,
Absolutely.
right? You're like, psh, I'm launching it, right?
Launching it. If it works, it works,
I'm
right?
launching it. I'm launching it. I'm launching
And
it.
the thing we have to understand is like we can't be married to these ideas because usually the first idea isn't the best idea, right?
Mm,
But we'll never know that if we never release the first idea, right? We have to be able to get to the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th idea and realize, oh wow, like
that's the
this is the
one.
one, right? This is the one that's gonna propel my career or propel my business to the next level. Like if you
Right.
think about Apple. Apple is one of the companies that I always reference in a lot of my classes and my sessions that I'm doing, right? Like Apple had I don't know how many years. Apple had been in business for several decades
Mm,
before the iPhone and went through a couple of stints where they almost failed and had to take on investor money from Microsoft, right? And so it wasn't until the advent of, and if someone from Apple is watching, you guys need to sponsor us and send some money, right? To the advent of the iPhone,
right.
billions of phones later, that this company is now like one
It's
of the
it's it's a
highest.
tribe.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a product. It's not a product.
Not a product.
The Apple is not a product. It's a tribe. It's
Right.
a tribe. It's a movement.
Not
Right?
even
There
Apple,
are
like
Apple people.
iPhone. Not even Apple.
Yes.
Because you got iPhone
iPhone.
users that will never buy a Mac
A Mac,
laptop or
right?
anything, right? And so it's like
It's
now
true.
you've got this multi-trillion-dollar company that has, more revenue than the GDP of many major countries. And it's like, wow, like the iPhone revitalized and saved this company. But again, many iterations of the MacBook before the iPhone, many iterations of the
Mm.
iMac before the iPhone. I
And the
remember
nanos and all the rest of it
exactly,
before.
yeah. And so I can remember
Yes.
sitting in elementary school playing like Oregon Trail on a black and orange screen Mac or on a black and green screen Mac, right? Before it was
Mhm.
like mainstream. And so that's a long way that they came to find like the thing that they'll be forever remembered for.
Yes. That's so, and it's interesting, even though so many people come along and do something similar,
Right,
it's still not the iPhone.
right.
Yeah. And that comes back to that idea of that power of the individual idea and the individual themselves, that uniqueness, right?
Hmm.
And that's something when we're talking with teams that we are trying to get teams to see, that the uniqueness of each person coming together makes the mosaic, right?
Right.
Makes that big, huge picture and makes things really, really brilliant. It's so funny when you think about that. So, one of the things I love about when you have conversations with somebody else, right? This is what I love about my shows, why I always tend to have a person with me, is
Hmm.
conversations emerge.
Hmm.
It's like a dance.
Right.
So you could think you're going to go one way, and then there's emergence that starts to happen around,
Hmm.
right? Which is why when you look at that principle that talks about, right, you're going to get emerging architecture only if you have self organizing teams.
Right.
Because then you're not controlling the conversation, you're not controlling the thought process.
Hmm.
You're allowing them to self organize around the problem, around the issue. When you do,
Hmm.
emergence and then new ideas you hadn't thought about now start to actually emerge,
Hmm.
right? So it's like us talking about the idea of just do it,
Right.
launch it. Whatever idea you have as an entrepreneur that you're thinking around, you're melding around, and you're waiting for, right? Do it,
Do it.
right? Just do it and get that feedback and detach yourself from the thing you're launching.
Yep. And I think you can only do that like with the more things you've launched. And so I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember if it was last week's episode I said it on or when I was talking to somebody else, but one of the people that I really like to listen to their business advice is Dame Dash. And so there was an interview that he
Mm.
did in, I don't know, Vibe magazine or Source magazine decades ago, right? when Rockefeller Records was at its height. And he said that the one thing he does, and he's launched like several different clothing lines, alcohol lines, clothing lines, streaming film services, streaming movie services. And so the thing he said that really stood out to me was what he does is he tries to minimize the amount of time between an idea and the moment he starts like actively working to pursue it. Because a lot of people will like have the idea, think about it, 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 do a little something, but not really move in the direction. And so he tries to minimize that time. So like as soon as I have the idea, I'm registering the domain name. I'm working on building out the website. I'm working on a logo. I'm deciding the launch. I'm going to go ahead and do a soft launch and just iterate. And that momentum that you get going when you start early definitely helps propel you to, a place where, okay, you see very quickly if this is sustainable. Maybe within 30 days, you know whether this is sustainable or not, and whether you need to shut it down or whether you need to, put, more time, more money, more effort, more energy, resources into it.
That's interesting because I'm getting ready to do a really major experiment for me. So I'm getting ready. So tell you what it is. I'm gonna do some. I'm putting it out there, so now you're gonna see.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to do a virtual event, which I've never done before.
Okay.
Right. But I'm gonna do it and just
see.
Just kind of see.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be launching a virtual event called Stressless Living.
Stressless living.
Stressless living.
Less.
Not saying that there won't be stress, but
right.
stress.
But it's less than there is.
Yeah, I'm going to teach you how to do a little bit of less stress. Okay. Right. So I'm going to launch this event, right? And just do a 3-day virtual event, see what happens with it. See what happens. Kind of like there's the nice thing is with doing a virtual is cost wise, you're not going to, if it doesn't do what you want it to do, then not really.
It's just the time, right?
It's the time because you don't have to travel nowhere. You're not renting no hotel, right? You ain't catering no food or any of that, but so it's something I'm going to do. Just like do it and see what happens.
Okay. What's the date?
So the date is the second week of May.
Okay.
That's what it is. I believe I've got a choice. Second week of May. But next time I come on, I will like have the actual date and you'll start seeing stuff going up about it. But I'm actually just gonna like do it.
Good.
That's because I've been playing with it and it's like it's gonna and it's so funny we talk about the momentum because it's like I've gone and I saw it in my head, like I saw exactly the thing and I've got it all put together now and there's like the banners for it and because I could just see this thing and I've got this Facebook group ready for it, the whole 9 yards, right? Because I really believe in this concept of being able to stress less. Not the idea that you're going to eliminate stress. Right. Because I don't think that we're at the point where anybody's got something that eliminates it. But it's the idea of when it comes, you don't have to sit in it for as long as you would do. So therefore, you learn to stress less.
Right. And so when did you first come up with this idea?
Last week.
Okay.
So that is what I'm saying. This is some major growth for me.
That's pretty quick.
This is a major growth for me because this is not like really normally kind of what I would. This is not my normal MO.
Right.
But so I'm at this place where I'm like, there's this much of life.
Right.
If you don't just and put into play all the things that we talk about, we teach people, right? Like put it out there, do an MVP and see what happens. That's exactly what I'm doing. This 3-day is literally an MVP of, okay, what is it that people would expect from me? What is it that people look for from Lizzie if they're going to come to something that's got my name on it? What is it that people expect to get out of it? That kind of thing. And who's out there who cares?
Right.
That's even interested in anything that I may do. Let's find it. We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. So what were you doing when you came up with that idea? Like,
I was with my business coach.
Okay.
Right. So I made a point this year, right, because of all the fog of COVID, that I was going to get myself a business coach, one or two, right? Business coaches to kind of let me do this. Yes, I coach other people very well, but it's very hard to coach yourself.
Right. Yeah. Therapists need a therapist too, right?
Yeah, it's hard to coach yourself. So I got somebody who could get me out of this concept of, oh, ooh. out of that space of, right, and just go for it. So it's been interesting because Devon's a big, damn, he just go do it, and he's got that, and he'll just bam do it, and if it fails, big, it fails. If it doesn't, psh, and he'll pivot real fast.
Right.
I'm just not there. My makeup, my natural makeup is not that.
Yeah.
Right, because I kind of want to see the runway, and I want to weigh up all the pros and all the cons,
right,
before I just will kind of do it. But now I've just decided I think age has caught up with me. So it's like you can't forever for years be doing this, because then time just goes, right?
Right.
So it's the idea of the time boxing now, bringing the time box. I'm bringing time boxing into me.
Right.
Now I have time box lots of things. So I time box my day. I time box my focus. But now I've decided I want to time box my life. Which is different. Which is different. Yes. I've never before decided to time box my life.
So do you literally time box, like you have a timer?
Oh yeah. When I time box, I literally do that. It's the only way for me to stay focused.
Okay.
If not, I'm going to answer an email. I'm going to take a phone call. I'm going to do something else. But once this timer goes on,
yeah,
everybody else is dead. It's like you do not exist. And if you interrupt my time box because like a relationship tie you have to me, you just come in you walk in my office, the face you get from me, did you really just disrespect my time box?
My time box.
Disrespect my time box. And I'm supposed to pull up out of my time box now, have a conversation with you or answer something for you or do something with you. I'm in my time box. So actually one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to get a sign for my door. Because I figured out that's the best way to do it, right?
Okay.
So I have a sign for when I'm recording, so you can see that I'm recording. People know to be quiet. But I'm going to have a sign now, a time box sign in my time box. So then when people walk past, because, when you walk into the house, you walk past my office first before you get into the rest of the house, right? So it's like the door's there and people naturally, it's like my son came over the other day, right? I love him to bits. I haven't seen him. Straight in, hey, Mom. It's just because people just walk in. So I thought about the concept of curtains, putting curtains up, and when the curtains are drawn, not to come in. But I don't want curtains on the doors because I kind of like the doors and all the windows, and I like the light. Yeah. So I'm going to put a sign that goes up, and when the sign is up, we'll walk past quietly and respect the time box. Respect the time box. Because I work so well in a time box. I mean, I work so well in a time box. No joke. I'm super productive in a time box. But if a time box is not around me, my productivity goes from being here, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and nothing gets to a point of complete or a place where I can look at it and say, okay, let me look at this and see what to do with it next. Never gets to that space.
Yeah, multitasking. There's an exercise that I do in my classes about multitasking, right? I don't know if you've done it before, where you write the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s on 2 different lines.
Yes.
Have you done that before?
Yes.
So it just really drives home, how much you lose when you're trying to multitask. And so that's why at the beginning of the call, I said, it's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders because I got some good news today. So I have 2 really big epics that I've been working on for over a year now that just got completed this week. So literally yesterday and today they're completed. So it's like my whole life just kind of opened up, and I can rededicate my time and my energy and my mind to all of these other things.
Yeah, that's big when that does happen, because there is a lot of mental space that gets taken up when you've got lots of things going. There's a
Right.
lot. It's just a lot of mental space that gets
Absolutely.
taken. And creatives and intelligent people, we need our mental
We
space,
do. We
right? Because we're
do.
not physical laborers, right? A physical labor, you labor until you get it done. But when it's
Right.
thinking and it's creation, you need the space. It's like I went to my doctor yesterday, and this is funny, right? Because I was talking about this. I was on a guest on a show yesterday, and talking about this whole thing about menopause and how your mind and the fogginess that can happen and different things. And I was talking about, I was so excited that I had gone to my doctor and got my pellets. Now, the pellets are these bioidentical hormones that they put inside you, and your body just pulls them as it needs it, right? Well, what it does the minute it starts to get into my system is my clarity goes up, like just right. And I could feel that this morning when I woke up, just that difference in the clarity, my thoughts, thinking being faster. So it was kind of exciting. It was like, oh, right, I'm gonna just get stuff. And I did. I achieved a lot today and made a lot of decisions today because my clarity was better.
Yeah, it reminds me of the movie. Have you seen it, Limitless?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm still looking for those NCT pills.
Man, I'm telling you. Now, my kids in college said there was some, I think what a lot of college students use to focus is I think it's a thing that they give people who have ADD or something,
Yeah.
and they'll take that and it just makes them super duper focused. I have not ever attempted that,
Is it Ritalin or is it
but it's something they
one of
take.
them? Yeah, it's one of those drugs.
Something they take, and they say it makes them laser focused, and they can just like do stuff. And I'm like, sounds interesting. But I tell you what does that for me too, green tea tablets. Have you ever tried those?
No, my dad swears by green tea. He drinks, several cups a day, but no, I've never tried the tablets. I normally try.
Green tea tablets.
Okay, I'm gonna get some. I normally use ginkgo biloba.
Yes, I used to use that back in the day.
Yeah, so I don't
I
I
mean,
don't
it's good for you, but I'll show you because I have some in my office.
oh wow.
We're pushing all these people's products today. We just get some endorsements for this stuff. We're pushing people's products. Oh my goodness. But this here,
Green tea. Okay.
green tea, these tablets. When I got to teach all night and I got to do India, 5 of these puppies.
5 of them. Is there like a
5.
limit?
They say, well, I don't know what they say. I do what works for me. Everybody's body's different. I do what works for me. I think they say take 1 or 2 a day. That's whatever. Right. And they're kind of big too. When you look at them, they're not like small. They're
Wow.
like those kind of horse pills.
Okay.
But when I tell you I need some clarity and I need to stay up, focus.
Uh-huh. Those. Okay. Adrenaline. Adderall is the other one we were thinking of that the college kids take. Adderall.
I don't know if Adderall has green tea in it,
No,
but
I'm
I
saying
will.
that's the prescription one that the college kids take to focus, that they prescribe to kids with I think like
ADD.
ADD or ADHD. Yeah, Adderall.
Okay.
Yeah.
ADHD. That's right. Yes. No, but this, yeah, I got into this. It was actually Devon who got me into these.
Okay.
And I was taking them initially to work out with when I was in my gym phase pre-COVID and going, and I would take 10 before I went to the gym.
10.
And yeah, I would take 10. And then I would go to the gym and I'd knock out 20 miles. Like I'd be on a bike, I'd do 20 miles straight. Bam. 20 miles, do a class and do my leg push-ups, right? My presses. And I mean, I was on it. It was great. And I would be out 4:30 in the morning, be back in my desk by 7, dressed, ready to go. I mean, I was on it. 10.
Wow.
I used to do 10 of these in the morning.
Okay.
And it was amazing what I'd be able to get done and just be like on it. Right. And not feel tired later, like, oh, I got to take a nap or anything like that. It would just be like on it. So, and he always takes pride in I was the one who introduced you to it. But yeah, so he did introduce me to it. And they were great. They were absolutely brilliant. Did really, really great stuff for me. So I guess there's everybody's got to look and find out what is it that you need to bring into your life to help you
Right.
focus to achieve your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, right? Because we've all got goals. We've got different things we're working towards. And if you can find that thing that enables your focus, because that's the key. If you can find the thing that enables your focus, then you get to do it. You get to do whatever it is, right? But if you've got distractors, you end up then beating up yourself because you didn't achieve what it was you wanted to achieve.
Right. Right. And so, goes back to, Scrum. Like, what is the highest priority in your life right now? What is the highest priority thing in your backlog that you're going to focus everything on? So me and my brother's a scrum master, my sister's a scrum master, right? So we always have little corny scrum jokes that we make. And so my brother my brother was making fun of my sister today. Like, oh, you just opened up the limit on your whip. Your whip limit is just out the window now. You're just doing everything at the same time.
Oh man, see, those are the cool things that you can make those kind of jokes at people, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, well, But sometimes you will do that to yourself. It's like when teams decide to take more in than they know they've ever had the capacity to do, right? And velocity is not talking to them that way. They've got no proof that they've ever been able to do this, but they do it and they knock it out the park. It's almost like they instinctively knew they could, right? And I think the one new change that Scrum has officially made, and although I don't really think it is a change, it's always been there, but the fact it's been more articulated in the update to the guide is that concept of goaling and making the goal such a big thing. Because I think when you have a goal, you are able to do way more than when you just take in stuff.
Right.
So it's like, for me, one of the things I said I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure I had my social media theming done. Like what is it I want to really focus on every day when I'm talking, so that my messaging is all the same. And I just took that time, and that was the output, having concrete messaging. And I took like maybe about 2 hours. Because normally my sprint's about 2 hours and 45 minutes, right? So by the end of the 2 hour block, I had got it down and got the coloring down to it of what colors I wanted the brain to see when I did it. But that was that focus time. And now it's something I'd wanted to do, like it was on my backlog anyway, but it never got into any of my sprints. There was always, and then I just finally got frustrated. I was like, no, this thing is important because it's going to set me up for so much more. Yeah. So that's when I decided to look at, okay, well, what are the goals that I've got? Well, I want my social media to start making more consistent sense and blah, blah, blah. So there was the goal, that outcome, right? What is the outcome that I'm looking for? And I think that's what people have to look at. You can get caught up in doing stuff, but it's not aligned to an outcome. Right.
And so you have to kind of take stock as often as you can, every week, every month, and just realign. I've got one of the guys in my coaching program. He's working to be a scrum master. He's dedicated a lot of time and effort and money into this. And he said this week something came up. Well, not this week, but one week something came up where the city that he lived in was looking for police officers to fill the police force. And he's got a father that works for the city, so he could definitely kind of walk him into the position. And he's always wanted to be a police officer for so many years. And so he started to do it, but then he had to check himself. And he's like, okay, does this align with the epic that I'm working on in my life right now? Right. And so it didn't. And it was the thing that put him back in check and made him say, you know what, I need to focus on this and completing this before I move to any other, initiatives in life. And so I think many times as people, as business people, as people, people in relationships, like the things that we're doing aren't congruent with the overall goals that we have for ourselves, our relationships and our families and our businesses. And so we need something that's the North Star that we can always go back and refer back to. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and I think that's the key thing. That North Star, what is your current North Star? And I
Hmm.
think for everybody's life there is this idea of something.
Right.
I was talking to somebody today about, I'm ultimately now, when I'm looking at my life,
Hmm.
I'm thinking legacy. And there's a legacy I have for my family that
Hmm.
I'm working towards, right? And then there's a legacy I'm leaving to leave behind myself for the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
And everything I do driving at those is driving towards legacy, right?
Right.
So it's like the things I say and the things I put out there are all about the legacy, because I know I'm here to help people shift and transition through change with ease.
Right.
That's my reason for being, right? And it's like I know that in my every fiber of my being,
Hmm.
right? So the fact that my life aligned to me being in business and into an environment and around a framework that's all about enabling change wasn't
Right.
a happenstance,
Right. Right.
right? I didn't know it at the time because I didn't have articulation to know that my whole reason for being was about change.
Right.
And I didn't realize that when I was going through so much change in my life, so many shifts and changes. I've gone through so many changes, lived in so many places and blah, blah, blah. I've always been surrounded about change. I had to adapt to it. But I
Hmm.
didn't realize all of that was the backdrop to enabling me to be able to enable others with change.
Right. Right.
Sometimes you just don't know that everything is an increment leading to the product that is you.
Yep. And that's what I tell people too. I tell them that like everything you've done in your life before this moment
Mhm.
has been to prepare you for this moment. And so oftentimes people just like look at where they're at in life and a job they never knew, or in a business they never ever thought about even beginning. But then they look back at their career and, it's about this in high school and got this little piece in college and got this little piece at their first job and the third job. And so now you've aggregated all these skills. And now that you've arrived at this place, you can pull on all of these different life experiences that you've had
Mhm.
to help you be the best version of you for this position that you're in life. And so I think it's
Right.
just amazing how we can try to plan out this life, right? That we want this perfect life and make all of these plans, and inevitably they many times fail, and we end up in a place that we would have a picture, a version of ourselves we would have never imagined could exist, right?
Never, never, which is why there's this whole thing of responding to change over following a plan.
Right. Yep.
Right? And you notice everybody always came back at that. All the guests we've had,
Yep.
that's something that's come back. So that's like just, eh, it's probably going to come out to be almost like a truth versus a fact.
Yeah.
When you look at life and you look at business, you always have to stay open to responding to change, because the change is going to come. It's
Absolutely.
going to come. Sometimes it's not the change you want.
Right.
I didn't want that change in that area. I like this staying the same, but no, you're taking this change has emerged. But
Yep.
we as individuals have the power to adapt to the change
Yeah.
and allow it to evolve us. And that's the difference between when you embrace change
Hmm.
rather than seeing yourself victimized by it.
Right.
Because when you think about when we go into organizations and we help organizations go through transformations and adoptions of new frameworks,
Hmm.
a lot of the reasons why people resist it is because they believe it's doing them harm, right? They see it as a negative. Well, I don't want this change, it's going to do this. And all the fear factors come up. Instead of embracing the change, right, they morph by it because there's this resistance. And this resistance creates this thing that's not the best you. It's not you evolving, it's you
Right.
morphing.
Right.
Right. And you've been in organizations where they've had the morphs because there's this failed approach because people morphed over here, failed over here. And there's all these things that happen because people were just morphing. But when you embrace it now and allow it to kind of, what I say, set the rhythm of the flow for you, you get to evolve, because you can then choose how you're going to evolve. It's a choice factor that comes in, and it becomes intentional. And then that growth emerges out of that, and you become a better you, or a better developer, or a better team member, a better leader. You become better because you embrace it. right? Instead of that resistance. And that's one of the things I would like to announce to everybody. When change comes your way in your organizations, don't resist it. Right? Don't resist it and morph into some weird thing.
Right.
Just allow it. You got to allow it so you can see the flow and how you can get in the midst of that flow and allow it to bring you to where it is you want your goals to be, allow you to bring you into that next promotion. I mean, I think about when I got introduced to the world of Agile. Wasn't something I was looking for at the time,
Right.
and couldn't have seen that it was something that was going to, you know, undergird a business and all the rest. I couldn't have seen that it would do all those things. But I was open to change. Like, okay, well, let's see.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to be willing to say, let's see, and give it a time box. Let's see.
Yep.
Let's see for 3 months. Give it 90 days. Let's see what
Yep.
can happen in 90 days.
Yeah. I mean, they always say change is the only constant, right? And so, again, back to the Agile Manifesto, that's why it says at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes its behavior accordingly. So, based on the outcome or the change you receive, you got to figure out, when we need to iterate or when we need to change it up. It's funny. After I became a Scrum Master, there is a comedy special that Cat Williams did. Familiar with Cat Williams?
I love Cat Williams.
And so
he makes me roll.
I realized that he was agile. He had a stand-up about agile. And so he was talking, I don't remember exactly what he was talking about, but I think he was talking about like Black people trying to make it in America, right? And so how we just try so many different things. And he was like, can I curse?
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine. It's in the evening.
So he was like, people be like, trying shit won't work, switch it up. Trying shit won't work, switch it up. And so that's what agile is, right? Yes. Companies have to, people have to not be afraid to try shit, try more shit. If it doesn't work, let's switch it up.
Switch it up.
Eventually, we're going to find something that works, something we can stick with, and something we can grow the company to. And then we'll get to another level and we'll try something else. Doesn't work, switch it up. But we don't have to be scared.
Maybe that should be our slogan. we ain't got a slogan for this. We ain't got a slogan for this yet.
I like it.
I like it. I can see it. Try it. Switch it up.
Switch it up. That's agile. Thanks, Kat.
Thanks, Kat. That's it. Try to switch it up. It doesn't work, man. I'm gonna wrap that thing with another time box. Let's see it. And the key is don't try something forever.
Right. Not the same.
Yeah, understand? Don't try it it's not like a forever try. Don't try forever. Right? Give it a time box and weigh up the value that you're getting in that. Like, there's some things you have in your life that you're like, this is something I'm choosing to always have in my life. May not give me the most value in the world, but this is something I'm choosing to have. And that if that's a conscious choice, it's a conscious choice. Right? But then you've got to say to yourself, what am I having that's valuable and what's driving value for me? And if it's driving value for me and it's valuable for me, then let's do it. You know what I mean? Let's do this. Let's put this thing around a time box and let's keep working to make it better.
Right.
If there's some life in something, then nurture that life and let that life become bigger and let it grow more life for you and let it achieve and do more for you. But you've got to just begin to, I love that experiment. Because I'm one of those people who can hold on to a dead horse because I'm just overly loyal. So I can hold on to things that are just dead horses for the longest time and be burning money on stuff that's dead horses. I have a very bad habit of that. But this year I pulled, literally this year I did something because of knowing I've done that in the past. This year I cut some strings real fast on some things that I would never have done in the past before. But I'm like, I don't have time for that. So let's cut the string. It's not producing. It's not delivering. It's not valuable. Done. Yeah. Because it's that question. Because, one of the things I always say to my students, is it value add or is it value necessary?
Right.
Some things definitely are value add. Some things are necessary. I mean, you just can't shake them. These things have got to be there and you got to deal with them, right? Because without dealing with them, you don't get to the value that's really important to you. But anything else, why? You know, it's kind of like this thing I've made with myself that Mondays and Fridays I'm not working anymore.
Hmm.
I made a decision, conscious decision Monday, Friday, and it's given me a clash because there's some client stuff that a client would like me to do
Right.
Friday
Right.
in a Friday day. But no, I've realized I need my Mondays and my Fridays.
Hmm.
And no amount of money is really right. It's a lot of money you'd have to pay to get me on a Monday and a Friday now. If you wanted my Monday and Friday, the premium wouldn't even be worth it to you, so to speak, because I
Right.
need my Monday and my Friday for me.
Right. That
And
makes sense.
so after, looking at COVID and with everything that happened, I can deal with Monday, Friday's mine now.
Right. Right.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll do business and stuff around that,
Right.
but not my Fridays. My Mondays and Devon always used to take Fridays. I always used to think he was weird. Like, how can you say you're gonna just block out Fridays? But he did. And Fridays was his jam, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna run my errands. I'm gonna do this thing on Friday, right?" But I finally decided, it's like, yeah, no, you can't have my Monday and my Friday. Those are mine, because Monday I get to think. Right. So Mondays are the days I get to kind of just think through my thoughts and meditate.
Sprint planning.
Right. Yeah. And because I need that space.
Right. Right.
I need that space without having to deal with a client or having to be on for anybody. I need that space. So,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I've given myself that space. So, I mean, I do some stuff now with India Friday nights, but it's really like a Saturday. So it gives me my whole Friday to
Right.
myself.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. So the whole Friday is mine.
Right.
So really, I'm playing with Saturdays, and that's fine because back in the day, Saturday used to be a cleaning day. And when I had kids at home, Saturday would be days to spend with the kids. And I said, well, now my kids are gone. I'm an empty nester. So Saturdays are like,
Right. What am I doing?
I'm gonna do on Saturday. Just gonna chill out, right? So I don't mind that kind of using my Saturdays to do that kind of stuff because that works. But I would never have got to this point,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is the evolution of me,
Right.
right? If you would have, pre-COVID, that's all I'm doing is working or training or coaching or consulting. It's all I'm doing. And
Right.
now I found the things that's bringing the balance for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have, COVID has been a sneaky blessing for a lot of people. As bad as it's been, everybody kind of knows someone who's, suffered or passed away. But I think the time to reset, the time to kind of reevaluate life and put things into perspective about what's important for you and in your life and what that looks like has kind of been invaluable. I don't think we've ever had time like this to ourselves or we'll ever get it again. So it's been a real
Yeah.
interesting.
It has been, when you talk about the chance to sunset, when you think about a product, it
Mhm.
gave us the ability to sunset,
Absolutely.
not hit decline. Some
Right.
people hit decline, but we had the ability to sunset, to say, look, this no longer really serves me.
Right. Right.
So it's time to put it away.
Yeah.
I'm removing this from the market,
Yeah.
right? And I'm replacing it with this.
Yeah.
So now when I look at myself, the me that is on the market that I put out there now is a me that is driven 100% by my reason for living.
Right.
If it's not about change, empowering change and making it easier for people,
Doesn't
it's not
move you.
doesn't
Right.
move me. Right? It
Yeah.
doesn't move me. So even the coaching that I'm doing and some of the new coaching programs I'm putting out on the market, there's like a coaching program I have the that I'm doing specifically for corporate females, right?
Hmm.
Who kind of reach that point where they're looking at, where is it I want to go next? And they know inside themselves, like they know it. They know it. There is another level for me. I know it.
Right.
But a lot of times when they try to talk about this other level to people, you know how people are,
It's
right?
foreign. Yeah.
People kind of say to them, what's wrong with you? You've achieved enough. Why are you never going to be satisfied? Why do you always
Right.
have to be climbing? Yeah. And you can hear that. And then so you don't talk and you don't make that audible to anybody anymore. But there's those what I call those shower bathroom moments where they sit in the corner and they cry because they know this was not their life. And they'll say that, and this isn't my life. And everybody else is happy to rest, but this isn't it. It doesn't resonate with me. This isn't my life. And so it's those women now that I'm focused in on helping. And I'm calling those my elite women, right? Because they are evolutionary women waiting to evolve.
Right.
Right? Who need the luxury of personal liberty so they can ignite that transformation inside of them and become this energy wherever they are of change, because that's who they are. So now that's kind of, I'm excited about those women that I'm going to be working with. And I'm going to be launching my program and taking these women away with me for 3 days for incubation.
That's powerful. And so where are you gonna, like, so do you know where you're taking them?
So for originally, when this isn't one of these things, was one of my brainchilds, right? Originally, when this was brainchild, I was going to take these women to Dubai because my travel schedule would always have me there so often. But now I'm going to take them to a little niche place right here in good old Texas so that I don't have to go anywhere too far.
That's
because
good.
that's not part of my thing, my MO anymore. We really be traveling. Like I just not really my thing now. Yeah, nah, it's just not. Yeah, that you've got to remember though, but you've got to understand this. There's probably only 3 continents. When I say continents or countries, I probably haven't been to in all my travels, right?
Yeah.
So the nostalgia around travel is not there for me.
Yeah.
So there is nostalgia to me in actually being home.
That's good.
Because I've been away from home for over 14 years of being on the road. Right. And it was definitely, so a lot of people, Lizzie, that wasn't sustainable pace. It was sustainable pace to me at that point in time. It is not today.
Right.
Yeah. So my sustainable pace is very different now. And it does not involve getting on airplanes and traveling all over the world. Or it just doesn't. It just doesn't.
And so what's funny is I remember at the beginning of this thing, you were supposed to go to Nigeria. And I had managed to convince you to let me come along.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Yes.
And so you were, and I mean, if you look at the Bearded Eagle schedule of training classes, I've looked at it many times. It's like Jamaica this weekend, LA this weekend, New York the next weekend, Florida the next weekend, like literally traveling all over the United States and the world sometimes. And so it literally took a pandemic to bring this revelation to light for you that shut the world down for a year, right? So where do you think your trajectory would be at had circumstances not been the way they were? Would you still have been?
I'd still been doing it because I wouldn't have even known anything different.
Right.
And it would be norm. I tell you what is absolutely hilarious right now is if you go upstairs, the spare room and all the luggage that's in there. Because nobody isn't traveling, right?
Right.
So normally, I mean, because in my travels, I when you talk about iterate around luggage, I've iterated around all kinds of brands of luggage and different kind of backpacks and stuff to be more effective, easy to put in a laptop, pull out a laptop, easy to pull it up on top of it. I mean, I had traveling down. You understand me? Down packed. So it's been interesting when you go in that room is packed full of luggage. Because the norm would be the one day you come home is drop this case, grab that case. And that case is already pre-packed, ready to go. So, I mean, I had an assembly line of a system for traveling. Understand me? So if I always used to say, if I was home for too many days, I would lose my mojo.
Yeah.
And when I went back out on the road, I'd call like a bag late. I just had too many bags because I was home for too long. Right. And somehow my body thought I was staying when my brain knew I was going, and there was this fight, and then it would take me a while to be acclimatized back. But once I got my mojo back again, it'd be yeah. I mean, Devon accused me of the fact that I didn't like home. I preferred hotels. And it wasn't just you're just used to it. And
Right.
traveling was what I did, and being where, and I was so passionate about everything that I did. I didn't realize it wasn't feeding me anymore until I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And once I paused, and I mean, because I always talk about a pause, right? I'm big about the theory behind pause. I got a whole pause framework, right? So there's a big thing to me about pause, but when I took that pause,
Uh-huh.
it paused everything inside of me.
Mm.
So it wasn't just a mental pause, a physical pause. There was a spiritual pause. There was a whole, whoa, hold on a second. And it was almost like out of body experience, and being able to come out of myself and view everything and just make some decisions on, whoa, okay, when it all gets back, how's this gonna, yeah, nah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah, nah, I'm not doing that anymore. And I just started knocking off these things I wasn't going to do anymore.
Yeah.
And it's been, when I tell you, the minute I suddenly feel like somebody is controlling me and pulling me back into doing
Mm-hmm.
the stuff I've said I don't want to do, there's a whole bunch of turmoil and my mood shifts, and you know what I mean? There's all this stuff like, how dare you come and try to,
Right.
like, no. Because during COVID, I really considered for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
I considered about working with some other companies, like becoming like a VP, go working for a while. I
Mm-hmm.
thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat with the thought, when you really sit with the thought and you meditate with that thought,
Right.
felt like someone was putting a noose around my neck and I wouldn't
Yeah.
go. It was like somebody was going to take away my freedom.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, now you're okay. I'm good.
Right.
I don't care what story,
I'm a,
what book it would help write. I'm not
I'm a
interested.
wild stallion. I'm a wild mare. Don't try to put me in a
Partner.
corral and
No. And some people do it. They make those conscious efforts and they'll go into organization, and all the things from that will be the building of a book, and they'll write now a new industry book.
right, right, right,
But
right,
that's not a good enough reason for me. So
right.
there is a book inside of me right now. I know, there is a book that's churning inside of me. What I say is
Mm-hmm.
an industry book, not an industry book. It's going to be a life book,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just kind of talking life. And
Right,
there's going to be concepts from the industry that I've gained over the
right.
years, things
Mm-hmm.
I've observed. But the idea is, at the end of the day, people have to make conscious choices.
Right, right.
If you don't make a conscious choice, you can't pick a goal.
Yep.
Because what the hell is the goal? And what
Right,
is it? If you
right.
haven't made a conscious choice, right? So you make the conscious choice, you pick a goal. Once you have picked that goal, now you have to decide how valuable that goal is to you. Because
Mm-hmm.
when all the impediments come in the way and the
Yep.
blocks,
What are you going to sacrifice?
right, because you said the goal was important. So you've got to know that that goal is driving enough of a valuable outcome for you to keep going no matter what.
Yep.
And then when you keep going and then you arrive and you've got that finish, there's like, yes. And the goal added to your life.
Right, right,
Because as much as we're in industry and as much as we're in corporations, we are still humans having a human experience in this thing called life.
right.
And you've got to make sure the things you're doing are giving valuable outcomes to your life, because that's what you always have. You
Yep.
don't always have a job. You don't
Nope.
always have a corporation you're working for.
Nope.
And if they decide they want to let you go, or they decide they want to shift a different way and augment in a different way, you are still going to be living life. So
Yep.
whatever you're doing, you've got to make sure there's life goals assigned to this stuff.
Yep.
And I've always coached people, let organizations work for you. You don't work for the organization.
Absolutely. And
And that's the key.
enough people don't know that. Enough people don't understand that. We live, relatively close to one another, and so I don't want to give anybody else any more free advertising. The big box store, the big box store, right? I don't know if you've been in there recently, but all of the checkout counters have been replaced with self checkout. So when I went in there last, I mean, it was probably something like originally maybe something like 20 to 30. Sorry, the kids are in the background if you can hear
That's
them.
okay.
but there are like 20 to 30 like lanes that you could go check out with someone on, and there were only maybe 10 to 20
Mm-hmm.
self checkout. So now there's only 6, I believe, lanes you can go, or registers you can check out with someone on, and there are like 30 to 40 self checkout lanes. And so I just think about the number of people who lost jobs in there. I went in there really late one night and I saw they now have robots that sweep and mop the floors. They literally just roll through the whole store. It's got cameras on it. If you walk down the aisle, it'll stop and move to the side and let you pass. And I'm like, wow, whose job did that just take? And there's another one on the next aisle that's got cameras all around it, and it's moving really slowly down the actual aisle, taking
Mm-hmm.
pictures of the merchandise. And I was like, oh, it's taking photos to see, does someone need to come out here and restock this shelf with this specific product? I'm sure someone's getting an alert in the back in the warehouse. Ship 10
Mm-hmm.
more of these, put 5 more of these on the shelf. These are out of place. We need to come arrange this. So now, like, one person could potentially stock all the shelves in a specific section. And so I'm just thinking, like, yeah, these companies are iterating. And if the people who are
Mm-hmm.
working in them aren't also iterating in their lives, you're going to get left behind.
You're gonna get left behind.
Yeah,
That's why I use a phrase that Scrum and Agile are for everyday living.
absolutely.
They are for everyday living. Because if you learn to consistently inspect,
Hmm.
always inspect what's going on, then
Yep.
you can find the adaptation that's going to drive the best value for you. And if that best value for you is being with X organization, then be with
Right.
X organization. But
Right.
if it's not, then be with B organization,
Right.
right? And make that move, make that shift, because that's the thing that's aligning to what are really your goals and values for your life.
Right.
Because that's what comes first. What comes first is the life you're living. Everything else is an accessory.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Everything else is an accessory. And that's what we have to really remember as we're doing this thing called life. Everything else is an accessory. So pick the accessories that work best, right? And pick the interactions that drive the greatest value.
Yes. That's another major.
That's the key. Pick
Yeah.
the interactions that drive the greatest value. So then it was worthwhile making that connection, having that conversation, because
Right.
all those things are driving to that goal that you have got for yourself.
Right. Because there are some connections in life with people that you have that when you evaluate them, they're not as valuable as maybe they should be, right? And maybe you're providing more value to them than they are to you. And that's okay because everyone and everything has its season, right? But at a point, if someone isn't making progress, right, or adding to your life in some way, it doesn't have to be monetarily, it can be emotional support,
Hmm.
mental support, whatever. Um, but those are the things that cause us more stress and um, put us in a situation where we need to come to your three
My
day
stress less, my 3-day conference, yes. Stress less. Stress less living. Come join me. Stress less living. Dates will be coming out soon for stress less living. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the tools I have learned and frameworks that I have developed around stress and around being able to inspect and adapt. So because we can say to people, inspect and adapt. You're like, oh,
Right. What does that
how
mean? Like, what
what does
does that?
that mean? How do I do that now? What do I do in this situation? I know that's so stuck because people always throw these things out. Be this, do this.
And it's just this big, like,
Yeah, it's just this big
hey,
use concept, right? And then people are like, oh, I can't do that.
I
It
really
wasn't
believe
meant
what
for
it
me.
is.
Ah, when all they needed was the tips. Just give me the tips. Give me
Yeah.
the tips. That work. Give me the tips. Tell me exactly how to do this. What are those steps? And so, yeah, I have some of those that I believe will really enable people to begin to live this thing called life with a lot more intention and ease.
Yeah. It's necessary.
So it is because I mean, when you're not in ease, you get disease.
Mm.
It's just true, right? It's true. Your body starts getting inflamed before you know it. They've got this, you got this, you got this, you got this, and then you need this medication, which has a side effect to that medication. And you need no, it's just that's not the life we're supposed to be living.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is not the life we're supposed to be living. So we have been here just talking amongst ourselves and just having the best time ever,
Right.
right? Because Victor and I can do this all night. Um, we really can. But we are wrapping up now, and we want to thank you for coming back and watching. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Agile. And you've heard us little splits here, but we hope that today just kind of brought value to you in you understanding that the greatest value you have is that breath that you breathe in and out every single day. That breath that gives you life is the value that you're carrying all the time. My hope for you is that you take that value that is on the inside of you and you make more value happen for yourself and for others. So as you're doing this thing called the journey of life, you're doing it well, increment by increment, with value drops everywhere. All right. So what would you like to close with, Victor?
I think you've closed. I think you closed just wonderfully. I think if anybody is interested in learning more about Agile, or more about, the Agile Manifesto that we've been talking about, you can go to agilemanifesto.org. I think maybe something Bearded Eagle should do is put a copy of if it's not already there, put a copy of the Agile Manifesto.
We need to put that out. You're right. We need to do that. We need to put out that cute little copy that we've got so everybody can have it underneath the show with show notes. Definitely would be with the podcast notes, but we need to put that out there so that you guys have got a neat little copy of what it is, what it looks like, and so that you can see how it will apply, right? And those of you who are looking for coaching, please reach out to Victor or reach out to me. I'll put you in contact so that you guys can start getting coaching to kind of walk through this thing called this journey in this agile world, because these agile streets can be a little bit mean sometimes.
Yes,
they can be. So you need somebody in the team to kind of help you through that. Victor is your man. And ladies, if you are out there and that resonates with you, that you are one of those ladies who know you are at that place where there's more. There's more, but you can't keep telling the people around you that you feel there's more. Reach out to me, set up an appointment. Let's talk. And let me tell you about my Elite Woman program. Let's get you on it and let's take you away to incubate. So when you think about slugs and all the rest of them, right? Every time they're there, they turn into these fabulous, there's this metamorphosis that happens, right? And they then turn into this fabulous, beautiful butterfly. And no two butterflies are exactly the same. Even when they're the same species, the pigmentation of the color and where the patterns come are totally unique. And there is every elite woman has a unique energy signature that is hers. Her tone, just as you've got your fingerprint that's unique, you're unique. And I want you to see that it doesn't matter what age you're at. That thing that on the inside of you that is ready to launch this new level, that you cannot die until you do that. Reach out to me. Let me help you get that going so you can truly be the elite woman that you are. Thank you guys for watching. Be back here. We'll be back here next week, Thursday, 8 o'clock Central, where we'll be talking Agile again, and we will have a guest for you next week. And I'm not telling you who they are right now, but you're going to enjoy them, and they're going to help us laugh. Because when we have these guests on, they be funny. They don't mean to be funny, but they're hilarious. I mean, they're just something else, right? They all have something amazing, and their stories are so fabulous. Absolutely. So we look forward to sharing with you a new story next week, and you're rating it with Agile. So all the best on your Agile journey, people. Be Agile because you embrace the Agile values and principles. Do Scrum if it works for you, because it will help you inspect and adapt, and it's light, and not much to it, right? It's lightweight. You can do it. It's lightweight, man. It's lightweight. All right, take care, people. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.